Do you know the moment when the veil is lifted? When the darkness that once whispered in hidden corners can no longer hide from your eyes? That moment is terrifying for those who walk in evil, for they know that you have seen them, that you have discerned their intentions. Evil cannot tolerate exposure. It recoils, it schemes, it lashes out. But even in its fury, it cannot undo the power that God has placed within you. I want you to understand this from the very depths of your spirit. When God illuminates the truth, when He gives you the insight to see through deception, the wicked are shaken and their every move becomes predictable. They reveal themselves not because they are clever, but because the presence of God within you strips away their masks. Today, I want to speak to you about 7 things evil people do when they know that you know. I want you to see it with your spirit, to recognize it, and to rise above it with unwavering authority. First, understand this: the wicked cannot confront the truth. They cannot meet it face to face. When they realize that you know their schemes, the first thing they do is deny everything, loudly, with venom in their words and fire in their eyes. Their denial is not a defense, it is a desperate attempt to reclaim control. They will twist reality. They will rewrite your experience. They will try to make you doubt yourself. But here is the truth that God wants you to hold fast. Their denial is a sign of their fear. Evil trembles in the light. When God opens your eyes, no lie can stand. Do not be fooled by the loudness of their denials or the force of their anger. Stand firm, anchored in the knowledge that God sees all and knows all. Your awareness, your discernment is not a threat to you. It is a gift from God, and it will protect you from the snares of the wicked. The second thing they do is attack your character. They know that if they cannot convince you, they might be able to convince others. They will speak poison into the ears of those around you, sow seeds of doubt, whisper lies about your intentions, your integrity, your faith. This is the work of evil, for it seeks to isolate you, to make you doubt the value of your perception. But God tells us in His wisdom that a life rooted in truth cannot be shaken by lies. Stand in the authority that God has given you. Speak truth with clarity, live with transparency, and let God defend your name. The attacks of the wicked will crumble before the power of divine integrity. They are not attacking you, they are attacking the reflection of God within you. When you realize this, their words lose power. You do not need to fight back with malice, for God Himself is your shield. Third, they will try to manipulate and confuse you. Once they know that you have seen through their deception, they may present half-truths, distort facts, or create illusions that tempt your mind to doubt what you have seen. This is a dangerous moment, for evil knows that confusion weakens the soul. But God has given you discernment. When you pray, when you seek the guidance of the Almighty, clarity floods your spirit. Evil cannot survive in the presence of God's light. The more you anchor yourself in God's wisdom, the less vulnerable you are to their tricks. Remember, when the wicked attempt to confuse you, it is a sign that your sight is true, that your perception is accurate, and that God is working through you to uphold justice. The fourth thing they do is turn others against you. They will manipulate friends, colleagues, even family to distrust you. They know that if they cannot directly harm you, they can isolate you. This is an act of cowardice, for evil cannot face the courage of one who walks with God. In this moment, the faithful heart becomes unshakable. The Almighty is your companion, your advocate, your fortress. Those who are meant to stand by your side will recognize your integrity, guided by God's light. Do not despair when others are misled by the schemes of the wicked. This is their weakness. They cannot generate loyalty. They cannot inspire truth. Only God sustains those who are righteous, and His favor protects you even when others turn away. Fifth, they will resort to intimidation and fear tactics. Once they know you know, their fury becomes transparent. They will threaten, bully, or intimidate in hopes of regaining control. Evil fears exposure, and fear makes it violent. But you, who are grounded in God, have nothing to fear. Fear belongs to the one who hides in darkness. Courage belongs to the one who walks in God's light. Stand tall, breathe in the presence of the Almighty, and refuse to be shaken. Every threat is a testimony to the power of God within you. When they raise their hand in anger, God's protection surrounds you. When they seek to break your spirit, God strengthens it. Fear them not, for they are merely shadows against the brilliance of divine truth. The sixth thing is attempting to corrupt your environment. When evil knows that you know, it will try to poison your surroundings, your work, your home, your community. It seeks to create chaos where order exists, to disturb peace where God has placed serenity. But understand this, chaos is powerless against God. Prayer fortifies your spaces. Integrity fortifies your actions. Faith fortifies your heart. When you walk with God, no scheme can take root. The wicked may plant seeds, but the soil of your life is nourished by God, and only what He allows can flourish. Recognize this and do not allow the fear of disruption to control your spirit. Stand firm in divine protection and let the wicked reveal themselves in their own destruction. Seventh and most revealing of all, they show desperation in their invisibility, being compromised. Evil thrives on secrecy, on hiding in the shadows, manipulating from behind a veil. When it realizes that you see it, that you know it, it panics. It becomes reckless, bold in its audacity, erratic in its behavior. This is a sign, my friends, that God is working through you. The exposure of evil is a divine signal that you are aligned with righteousness. Every reckless move, every desperate action is evidence that the Almighty has set your path and granted you insight. Do not be discouraged by the chaos that follows revelation. It is the unveiling of truth, and God uses it to cleanse, to purify, and to strengthen your spirit. Now hear me clearly. The wicked will never change by your anger. They will never submit to justice without the hand of God guiding you. Your power is not in retaliation. It is in discernment. It is in truth. It is in the authority that God places within your spirit. Every lie you expose, every scheme you recognize, every deception you unveil is not just a personal victory. It is a triumph of God's will. The Almighty is the ultimate judge, the supreme authority, and when you walk under His guidance, no evil can overcome you. Do not be seduced by anger. Do not be tempted to react with vengeance. Remember that those who seek to harm you have already revealed their weakness. Their schemes are like smoke, dissipating in the presence of light. Your response is not to match their fury. It is to remain steadfast, patient, and unwavering in your faith. Every prayer you offer, every act of righteousness you commit, every step you take in truth is a blow against the forces of darkness. You are not alone. The Creator of all things, He sees your heart, knows your struggles, and strengthens you beyond what the wicked can imagine. Recognize also that God often allows these moments to reveal hidden truths, not just about others, but about yourself. Awareness of evil sharpens your own discernment. Exposure of deceit develops spiritual resilience. Confrontation with darkness deepens your reliance on God. These 7 behaviors of the wicked, these desperate measures they take when they know that you know, are not obstacles, they are opportunities. They are divine tests designed to strengthen your faith, purify your spirit, and elevate your life into a realm of clarity and protection that only God can provide. Every eye that watches in secret, every whisper that seeks to undermine, every hand that reaches to destroy is powerless before the sovereignty of God. Do not shrink, do not hide, do not compromise. Stand boldly in divine authority. Let the wicked reveal themselves fully, for their exposure is your liberation. Let God be your shield, your wisdom, your strength. When you see their tactics, remember, it is not your battle alone. The Almighty fights for those who walk in His truth. Your vigilance, your faith, your courage, all are instruments of His justice. Do not underestimate the power of discernment. The ability to see evil is a gift, and those who possess it are chosen to uphold truth in a world full of deception. When you recognize the 7 things evil people do when they know that you are not merely observing, they are teaching you, guiding you to higher awareness, drawing you into deeper reliance on God. Every denial, every character attack, every attempt to confuse, every betrayal, every threat, every effort to corrupt, every act of desperation, each is a message. You are not blind, you are not weak, you are aligned with God's vision. You must hold this with conviction. The wicked, he cannot hide from God's light. And when God grants you insight, you become a vessel of that same illumination. Your life becomes a reflection of divine truth, a beacon that reveals deception wherever it dwells. The enemy fears this, and so they react with fury, cunning, and recklessness. But their actions are powerless to touch the one who walks under God's protection. Stand firm, walk boldly, speak with clarity, pray with authority. Let the wicked reveal themselves in their own undoing, for in exposing their schemes, God's glory is magnified and your spirit is fortified. Every moment of tension, every confrontation, every deception exposed is a call to rise. Rise with faith, rise with courage, rise with the certainty that God sees, that God knows, and that God acts on behalf of those who align with His truth. You are not vulnerable. You are not alone. You are chosen to carry discernment, wisdom, and courage in a world that is constantly seeking to hide darkness in plain sight. And in every trial, in every exposure of evil, remember, God is with you. God fights for you. God protects you. The wicked may rage, but they are powerless before the one who sees all and rules over all. Your life is sacred. Your spirit is fortified. Your awareness is a gift. The 7 things evil people do when they know that you know are markers, not of defeat, but of victory. They are signs that you are aligned with God's vision, that your insight is true, that your path is under divine guidance. Do not waver. Do not fear. Do not compromise. Stand firm. Walk boldly. And let God's truth shine through you in every encounter, revealing the deception of the wicked and illuminating the path for those who follow in righteousness. Listen carefully, for the truth I am about to speak is not merely advice. It is a declaration, a command to your spirit to rise, to awaken, to walk boldly in the authority God has already given you. There is a power that cannot be measured, a force that no evil can penetrate, and that power is God. When the wicked sense that you know that your spirit is awake to their schemes, they tremble, not because of your strength, but because of the presence of the Almighty within you. Their every action, their every ploy, their every attempt to undermine is a testimony of their fear. You must understand this deeply. The knowledge that God gives you is not incidental. It is intentional. It is a weapon of light against the shadows that seek to blind the world, and you have been chosen to wield it. Do not underestimate the subtlety of their tactics. Evil does not always strike with blunt force. Sometimes it whispers, it insinuates, It cloaks itself in charm, in feigned kindness, in manipulation so clever it almost deceives the heart. But the eyes of God are upon you, and the Spirit that God places within you is sharper than any deception. When you recognize their subtlety, you recognize the hand of God guiding you toward vigilance. You are being trained, prepared, and fortified. Each encounter, each betrayal, each whisper meant to confuse or ensnare you is a stepping stone to spiritual maturity. This is why God allows you to see the wicked clearly, so that you may grow, so that your discernment may sharpen, so that your faith may expand into a fortress that no lie, no scheme, no attack can penetrate. Evil cannot tolerate integrity. This is why, when they know you know, they attempt to distort your victories. They try to turn triumph into humiliation, accomplishment into envy, righteousness into suspicion. But God has established your heart. What He has blessed, no one can curse. What He has protected, no one can steal. What He has appointed, no force of darkness can dismantle. Understand this: when the wicked attempt to twist your reality, they are only revealing their impotence. They have no power but what God allows them temporarily to display, and God uses even their failures as signs for you, markers that you are aligned with His purpose and that the path you walk is under divine watch. Another thing to consider is the desperation of evil when faced with exposure. It becomes reckless, audacious, bold in ways that defy logic. When the wicked sense that their hidden intentions have been seen, they act in ways that are erratic, volatile, and revealing. This is a moment for you to remain unmoved. Do not respond with panic. Do not be drawn into chaos. Instead, breathe in the presence of God. Speak in calm authority. Let your life reflect the unwavering peace that comes from divine protection. Every irrational action of the wicked is evidence that God is moving, that light is piercing darkness, that truth cannot be overcome. In fact, their very desperation is a sign of victory. Your victory, the victory of God's truth over deceit. Consider also the less obvious ways evil seeks to distract you. Sometimes, when the wicked know that you see them, they try to pull your attention away from God, to turn your eyes from the source of your strength. They introduce conflict. They exaggerate problems. They attempt to seduce your focus with urgent matters that are trivial. But God is teaching you vigilance. God is cultivating in your heart the ability to discern priority from distraction, eternity from temporality, truth from illusion. When you guard your heart and mind, when you root yourself in prayer and divine reflection, you become untouchable. The wicked can create storms around you, but they cannot disturb the foundation that God has established. Their distractions are meaningless, their chaos is temporary, their power is fleeting. You, however, are anchored in eternal wisdom. There is also the tendency of evil to inflate its influence in the presence of exposure. It will try to convince you that the world is against you, that enemies are everywhere, that no one can be trusted. It will amplify fear, insecurity, and doubt in hopes that you will succumb. But God calls you to remember that the number of those aligned with Him is unseen but mighty. True support is not measured by popularity or external approval. It is measured by divine alignment, by the presence of God's hand in your life. When you know that God is with you, the attempts of evil to exaggerate threats cannot touch you. Their illusions are empty. Their noise is inconsequential. You are called to rise above, to remain steadfast, to trust in God's omnipotent guidance. And remember, the exposure of evil is also a revelation of purpose for those around you. When wickedness is revealed, others are forced to make a choice. Some will see clearly and align with truth, Some will be confronted with their own complicity and either repent or turn away. Your awareness, guided by God, becomes a lighthouse for others. What the wicked perceive as a threat becomes a tool for divine correction. Do not be discouraged when others stumble in response to the exposure of evil. Their choices are part of a greater plan that God orchestrates for purification, for justice, and for the expansion of righteousness. You are a vessel, and every insight God gives you contributes to a broader spiritual awakening. You must also understand that the reaction of evil often intensifies with time. When they know that you know, they do not retreat quietly. They escalate, they test limits, they attempt to provoke, to manipulate, to break your spirit. But this is the precise moment to walk in unshakable faith. Each escalation is an opportunity for you to demonstrate the power of God in action. Your calm, your patience, your wisdom, your integrity in the face of increasing adversity is a testimony that the Almighty is your protector, that His power flows through you, and that no attack can succeed where God's authority reigns. The wicked can rise in fury, but the presence of God within you is a fortress no blade can pierce. Never forget that God is the ultimate revealer. Even when evil seems clever, even when schemes appear hidden, God's light exposes them. And when exposure occurs, it is not a moment of fear, it is a moment of triumph. Recognize that the 7 behaviors of the wicked, the denial, the attacks on character, the manipulation, the isolation, the threats to corruption, and the desperation are all responses to truth. They are proof that you are aligned with righteousness. They are indicators that God's wisdom has manifested in your awareness. And they are reminders that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, no matter how cunning the wicked act, God's omnipotence governs the outcome. Understand also that discernment is not just for defense, it is for empowerment. When you recognize evil for what it is, you gain clarity about your own mission. You gain the courage to step boldly into situations where others might be paralyzed. You gain the wisdom to navigate treacherous relationships, corrupt systems, and deceitful environments without compromise. Every revelation, every insight, every instance where you perceive what the wicked try to conceal strengthens your spirit, sharpens your judgment, and deepens your reliance on God. This is why exposure is not just protection, it is preparation. And hear this, God does not call you to fear, He calls you to action guided by wisdom. The wicked act out of desperation, but you act out of divine discernment. Their schemes are reactionary. Your responses are intentional. Their fury is temporary. Your steadfastness is eternal. Their deceit is weak. Your faith is you, breakable. Walk in this knowledge every day. Let it guard your heart, shape your decisions, and illuminate your path. The more the wicked reveal themselves, the more you understand your alignment with God, and the more your spirit grows in courage, wisdom, and authority. You will also find that exposure leads to liberation. The knowledge that God grants you, the ability to see evil for what it is, liberates you from the fear, confusion, and manipulation that once bound you. No longer are you at the mercy of secret plots, hidden schemes, or covert attacks. God has armed you with vision, strength, and wisdom. Walk boldly in this freedom. Do not shrink. Do not compromise. Do not be silenced. The Almighty sees your courage, knows your heart, and magnifies your faith. Every step you take in awareness, every moment you confront deception, every time you remain calm in the presence of chaos is a testimony of divine alignment. The wicked may try to mask themselves. They may attempt to twist reality. They may isolate, threaten, or corrupt. But none of this can touch the life that God guards. The exposure of evil is the illumination of truth. And truth is the foundation upon which God builds power protection, and prosperity. Walk in this certainty. The 7 responses of the wicked: their denial, character attacks, manipulation, betrayal, intimidation, corruption, and desperation are signs not of your vulnerability, but of your divine insight. Each act of evil becomes a mirror, reflecting the power of God at work in you. Each scheme revealed is an opportunity to exercise faith, to demonstrate courage, and to glorify God through steadfastness. Know this above all: God's wisdom has given you sight. God's protection surrounds you. God's authority flows through you. And when the wicked know that you know, when their shadows confront the light of your spirit, it is God's light that will prevail. Stand in that light. Walk in that strength. Speak with that wisdom. And let the revelation of evil become a testimony of God's eternal power, glory, and justice. Now let us delve even deeper, for the truths I speak are not ordinary. They are divine revelations meant to ignite your spirit, sharpen your awareness, and arm your soul with the authority that only comes from God. The wicked are cunning, yes, but cunning cannot withstand the presence of God. Their schemes, their whispers, their attempts to deceive and manipulate are powerless before the one whose life is anchored in divine truth. Every lie they craft, every shadow they conjure is a testament to the power that God has placed within you, the power to see, the power to discern, the power to stand unshakable. This is why evil reacts so violently when it knows that you know. They recognize the authority of God in your awareness, and in their fear, they reveal themselves for what they truly are. Consider the subtlety of their deception. For not all evil comes with a roar. Some evil comes disguised as concern, as advice, as seemingly innocent counsel meant to pull you away from your path. When the wicked know that you see them, they will attempt to disguise themselves in ways that appeal to your mind, to your logic, or even your compassion. They will try to bend truth to make you question your perception. But remember this: God's insight is sharper than any illusion. What He illuminates cannot be hidden. What He reveals cannot be twisted. When you pray, when you seek God's guidance, clarity floods your spirit and the fog of manipulation dissipates. You begin to see with divine vision what the world cannot reveal. The wicked fear this vision because it exposes their weakness. It strips away their control and it magnifies your authority. Another truth that must resonate within you is that the wicked will often attempt to undermine your confidence. When they sense that you know, they will launch subtle attacks designed to make you doubt yourself, to question your judgment, and to reconsider the truths God has revealed. This is the essence of fear. They know that a shaken heart is a vulnerable heart. But your strength lies not in defending yourself with human reasoning. Your strength lies in your faith in God. Every whisper, every attempt to diminish you is an opportunity to reaffirm the truth that God sees all, that God knows all, and that God equips you with insight far beyond the schemes of the wicked. Stand firm and let your confidence be rooted not in your abilities, but in the omnipotence of God. Do not forget that evil also seeks to contaminate relationships. Those who have hidden agendas will attempt to turn friends, colleagues, even family against you. They will plant seeds of doubt, hoping that the fruit of mistrust will grow and isolate you from support. But God is the ultimate protector of your spirit. He can shield your relationships, fortify the hearts of those who are righteous, and expose the intentions of those who are deceitful. When you discern evil through divine insight, you not only protect yourself, but you also illuminate the path for others. Their choices in response to the revelation of deception reveal their hearts, and God uses this exposure to refine your environment, to purify your circle, and to fortify the ones who truly belong by your side. Evil cannot tolerate steadfast faith. When the wicked realize that you know, they will often escalate their tactics, hoping to provoke you into a reaction. They will push boundaries, threaten stability, and attempt to instill fear. This is the moment for unshakable courage. Your courage is not a product of human effort. It is a product of God's presence. When you stand firm in faith, the fury of the wicked is impotent. They may rage, but their rage cannot penetrate the fortress God has built around you. Every attempt to intimidate, to control, or to coerce becomes a lesson in divine protection. Their fear of your awareness is a reflection of the power that God has bestowed upon you, a power that evil cannot touch. There is another subtle yet powerful tactic of evil, the distortion of reality. When they know that you know, the wicked may attempt to twist facts, present lies as truths, or manipulate situations to make you question your own perceptions. This is not simply a battle of information, it is a spiritual test. God allows you to perceive the distortion so that your discernment may grow. Every time you recognize the manipulation, you exercise spiritual authority. Every time you reject falsehood in favor of truth, your soul is strengthened. This is the refining fire of divine wisdom. Clarity emerges from deception. Truth emerges from lies. And faith grows stronger in the face of adversity. Furthermore, the wicked often seek to distract you from your purpose. They know that when your focus is diverted, your power is diminished. They create unnecessary conflict, exaggerate challenges, or introduce chaos to draw your eyes away from God's plan. But God calls you to unwavering focus. When your life is aligned with His purpose, distractions lose their potency. Chaos may swirl around you, but your clarity remains. Evil may attempt to manipulate your priorities, but God has already set your path. Recognize the distractions for what they are: tests, temptations, and opportunities to demonstrate faith, patience, and discernment. The more they try to divert you, the more you realize the strength of divine alignment in your life. The exposure of evil is also a revelation of your role in God's plan. When the wicked react to your awareness, it is not mere lie about them. It is about you and the mission God has entrusted to you. You are called to shine a light in darkness, to walk in integrity, and to uphold justice where deceit has reigned. Every attempt to undermine you is an invitation to rise, to demonstrate courage, and to exercise the authority that God has placed within you. The more visible the deception becomes, the more you see the hand of God at work, guiding your discernment, fortifying your spirit, and empowering you to stand above the schemes of the wicked. And let us not ignore the subtle triumphs that arise from exposure. The wicked, in their attempts to conceal their intentions, often reveal themselves more fully when they know that you know. Their desperation, their recklessness, their boldness, these are not threats. They are signs of victory. Victory over hidden agendas, victory over deception, victory over manipulation. Each exposure is a divine signal that God is orchestrating events for your benefit, that your insight is accurate, and that the path you walk is under divine protection. Their actions become evidence of God's justice, a reminder that darkness cannot hide forever and that light always prevails. Understand also that every action of evil is temporary, but the presence of God in your life is eternal. The more the wicked strive to disrupt, manipulate, or control, the more their efforts reveal the strength of divine authority. Their attempts may appear threatening, but they are powerless against the Almighty. Every denial, every threat, every manipulation, every act of desperation becomes a canvas upon which God displays His power. When you remain steadfast, patient, and unwavering, you demonstrate that God's protection is not theoretical. It is tangible, real, and active in your life. Finally, recognize that the wicked are often instruments of revelation, whether they know it or not. Our actions, when viewed through the lens of divine insight, teach you discernment, patience, courage, and reliance on God. Their deception uncovers truth. Their betrayal reveals loyalty. Their threats highlight protection. Their chaos exposes divine order. Everything they do, when God grants you the vision to see it clearly, becomes a tool for spiritual growth and empowerment. You are not merely surviving exposure. You are ascending, refining, and stepping into the fullness of the life God has prepared for you. Walk boldly in this understanding. Let your awareness of the 7 things evil people do when they know that you know empower you to rise above fear, deception, and manipulation. Let every attempt at distraction, every act of intimidation, every whisper of deceit, every effort to isolate, every distortion, every chaotic interference, and every desperate act of the wicked become a testament to God's power, your discernment, and the invincibility of a spirit aligned with divine truth. Stand firm, speak truth, walk in faith. Let God's light shine through you so brightly that the darkness cannot approach without revealing itself. Let your courage, integrity, and unwavering trust in God be a force that exposes deception, protects the righteous, and establishes divine justice. The wicked may rage, they may scheme, they may manipulate, but they cannot overcome the one whose eyes are opened by God, whose heart is fortified by God, and whose life is guided by God's eternal wisdom. Every revelation, every confrontation, every moment of awareness is a sign of victory. Do not shrink from the exposure of evil. Do not fear the reactions of the wicked. Rejoice in the knowledge that God is at work, that your insight is a gift, and that your life is a living testament to divine truth. The 7 actions of the wicked: the denial, attacks on character, manipulation, isolation, threats, corruption, and desperation, are markers of their fear. And your courage, faith, and discernment are the reflection of God's power. Walk in this confidence, rise in this authority, and let the revelation of evil become a testament not to darkness, but to the unstoppable, unyielding, and omnipotent presence of God in your life. And now, let us seal this truth in your heart. What the wicked do when they know that you know is not a threat, it is a revelation, a divine signal that God has opened your eyes, fortified your spirit, and placed within you the power to stand unshakable. Every denial, every attack, every manipulation, every betrayal, every threat, every attempt to corrupt, every act of desperation, they are all proof that God is moving in your favor, that His wisdom guides your perception, and that His authority flows through you. Do not fear exposure. Do not shrink in the face of deceit. Do not allow anger or confusion to cloud the clarity God has granted you. Instead, stand firm. Walk boldly and speak with unwavering conviction. Let your life be a reflection of God's light, a fortress of discernment, and a testimony of righteousness in a world filled with shadows. The wicked may rage, they may plot, they may scheme, but they are powerless against the one who walks under God's protection. Remember this always. God sees what is hidden, God knows what is true, and God acts on behalf of those who are faithful. Your awareness is not a curse, it is a gift. Your discernment NT is not a burden, it is a weapon. Your courage is not merely human, it is divine. Walk with this authority every day. Let the revelation of evil strengthen you. Let the exposure of deceit empower you. And let the light of God's presence guide you in every decision, every step, and every encounter. Stand in faith, rise in wisdom, remain steadfast in integrity. And know this, no darkness can withstand the brilliance of God's truth, and no scheme can prevail against the one whom God has illuminated. Your life is protected, your spirit is fortified, and your path is guided by the omnipotent hand of God. The wicked may try, but they will fail, for you are not alone. You are chosen, seen, and empowered by the Almighty, now and forever. Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is not a casual statement, not a soft whisper, not something meant merely to encourage your emotions. This is a divine announcement for your spirit. This is a declaration that shakes the foundations of every fear, every disappointment, every delay, every loss, every defeat that has tried to bury your identity. This is a spiritual wake-up call to your soul. You are not finished. God is not finished. And your comeback is already in motion, even if your eyes cannot see it yet. There are moments in life where everything seems to press against you at the same time. Your relationships strain, your finances weaken, your health trembles, your confidence cracks, and your future feels blurry. And it is in these moments that the enemy whispers, "You are done. There is no return, nothing is going to change." But hear me with all the fire of conviction. God never writes a story where the darkness wins the final chapter. The author of your destiny does not surrender his pen to your circumstances. What looks like an ending to you is merely a transition in the hands of God. You may have cried, you may have questioned, you may have wondered why certain things collapsed. You may have felt abandoned by people you trusted. You may have stood in the silence of unanswered prayers and asked, "Why is this happening to me?" But let me tell you something with spiritual certainty. Sometimes God allows what you think is collapsing because He is preparing what will restore you. Sometimes God permits what breaks you because He is setting the stage for what will build you back stronger than ever. Your comeback is not just about returning to who you were. No, God does not bring you back to old levels. When God orchestrates a comeback, He elevates, He strengthens, He multiplies, He transforms. God is not bringing you back to the place you lost. God is bringing you to the place you were always meant to be. Right now, even as you listen to this, there are things shifting in the unseen realm. You may not feel movement, you may not see evidence, you may not hear any sign of progress, but the silence of God does not mean the absence of God. The silence of God often means the strategy of God. And when God is strategizing, what looks like inactivity is actually divine preparation. Your comeback requires preparation. It requires recalibration. It requires God to move people out of your life, move obstacles out of your way, expose false connections, redirect your steps, and break the chains that have quietly held your spirit captive. You may not know it, but God is removing things that would have suffocated your destiny. God is clearing paths you didn't even know were blocked. God is rescuing you from battles you didn't even realize were forming. And the very things that wounded you, the very things that frustrated you, the very things that delayed you, those were not signs that God abandoned you. Those were signs that God was reorganizing your story. Let me tell you something vital. A comeback always requires a setback. A rise always requires a fall. An elevation always requires a foundation being shaken. If your life were always smooth, always easy, always predictable, you would never discover depths of strength, clarity, and spiritual authority that God placed inside you. You would never grow, never expand, never evolve into the version of yourself that is called to walk into your destiny. God allows the shaking not to destroy you, but to detox you. The shaking removed people who were not meant to walk with you. The shaking broke attachments that were diluting your purpose. The shaking revealed truths you needed to see. The shaking exposed weaknesses you needed to strengthen. The shaking dismantled illusions that were blocking your spiritual clarity. Every tear you cried, every disappointment you endured, every door that closed, every opportunity that slipped through your fingers, none of it was wasted. God wastes nothing. God uses everything. And right now, God is weaving your broken pieces into a masterpiece. The same God who allowed the wilderness is the same God preparing your promised restoration. The enemy hoped your struggle would make you bitter, but God is using it to make you wiser. The enemy hoped your losses would make you hopeless, but God is using them to teach you resilience. The enemy hoped your heartbreak would break your faith, but God is using it to deepen your trust. The enemy hoped your delays would make you give up, but God is using them to strengthen your endurance. Because the truth is simple: if the enemy could have stopped your purpose, he would have, but he couldn't, and he didn't, and he never will. Your survival is the evidence that God has not released you. Your breath is proof that your assignment is still alive. Your struggle is confirmation that something greater is coming. When you feel the pressure intensifying, it is a sign that a breakthrough is near. The enemy does not attack what has no potential. You have been a target because you carry something powerful, something valuable, something divinely placed inside you by God. That is why your valley felt so long. That is why your nights felt so heavy. That is why your mind felt so burdened. That is why your soul felt so tired. Because what God is preparing you for requires a level of depth, wisdom, and maturity that can only be forged through struggle. And now, the season is shifting. You are entering the realm of divine reversal, divine acceleration, divine restoration. God is about to take what was meant to crush you and use it to crown you. God is about to take what was meant to bury you and use it to elevate you. God is about to take what was meant to silence you and use it to amplify your voice. Your comeback begins the moment you decide that defeat is not your identity. Your comeback begins when you stand up internally before anything around you changes and you say, this is not the end for me. God still has a plan, and I will not stop walking until I see it fulfilled. The comeback does not start with circumstances. It starts with conviction. It starts with belief. It starts with the inner fire that refuses to be extinguished. That fire is inside you. It has survived storms that others would have collapsed under. It has survived betrayals that would have broken most. It has survived loneliness, rejection, mockery, self-doubt, false accusations, and silent suffering. You have endured far more than the world knows, but God knows. God has seen every hidden battle. God has counted every tear. God has measured every weight on your shoulders. And God has determined that your time of rising is here. Let me tell you something powerful. Your comeback will not be subtle. When God restores, He does not restore halfway. When God elevates, He does not elevate quietly. When God strengthens, He does not strengthen partially. Your comeback will be loud. Not in noise, but in impact. Loud in the way people look at you and say, how did they survive that? Loud in the way doors open for you suddenly. Loud in the way blessings fall in rapid sequence. Loud in the way your past no longer resembles your future. And the people who doubted you, the people who walked away, the people who underestimated you, They will not understand how God transformed your story so quickly, because your comeback will not make earthly sense. It will be supernatural. It will be divine. It will be because God intervened, God redirected, God lifted, God strengthened, God opened, God healed, God restored. You see, God specializes in impossible comebacks. God knows how to resurrect hope when it is buried under layers of disappointment. God knows how to revive dreams that have been suffocated by fear. God knows how to breathe life into situations that the world has declared finished. There is something in your life right now that looks dead. Dead opportunities, dead confidence, dead relationships, dead motivation, dead passion. But hear this, what looks dead to you is only sleeping in the hands of God. And when God decides it is time, He speaks one word and everything comes alive again. One touch from God can shift your entire direction. One moment of divine favor can undo years of struggle. One breath from God can revive what you thought would never rise again. And one decision from God can place you in a position you never imagined. You are about to experience a divine turnaround. God is transforming your valleys into testimonies. God is turning your exhaustion into empowerment. God is turning your confusion into clarity. God is turning your setbacks into stepping stones. Do not underestimate yourself. The enemy may have attacked you, but he did not win. You are still here, still fighting, still believing, still seeking, still hoping, still standing. And that alone makes you unstoppable when God is guiding your steps. Some of you listening right now feel tired, deeply tired, tired in your bones, tired in your soul. You have been fighting battles with no applause, carrying burdens with no recognition, holding on to hope with no reassurance. You have been faithful in seasons where faith felt impossible. And you wonder if God sees you. God sees you. God has seen your sacrifices, your patience, your silent tears, your quiet endurance. God has seen you remain peaceful when you could have responded in anger. God has seen you extend kindness when you received none in return. God has seen you stay humble when pride could have ruled your heart. God has seen you stay generous even in your own lack. God has seen your heart, and God is about to reward your faithfulness. Your comeback is not just about external blessings, it is about internal transformation. God is not only restoring what you lost, God is restoring who you are. God is strengthening your identity, sharpening your discernment, renewing your mind, cleansing your spirit, and aligning your heart with your divine purpose. You may feel like you've been walking through darkness, but God is preparing light for you. You may feel like you've been walking through isolation, but God is preparing the right connections for you. You may feel like you've been walking through confusion, but God is preparing clarity for you. You may feel like you've been walking through delay, but God is preparing acceleration for you. Acceleration is coming. Restoration is coming. Provision is coming. Breakthrough is coming. Open doors are coming. Healing is coming. Strength is coming. Peace is coming. Divine alignment is coming. Your comeback is coming. Not next year, not someday, not eventually, now. The shift has already begun. Heaven has already declared it. Your spirit can already feel it. There is a stirring inside you, a sense that something new is unfolding. You may not have the full picture yet, but you can feel the atmosphere of your life changing. Do not let fear rob you of the blessing God is preparing. Do not let doubt suffocate the promise God has spoken over you. Do not let past failures convince you that why you are unworthy of a comeback. What God restores, no one can block. What God elevates, no one can reverse. What God blesses, no one can curse. You are stepping into a season where everything that was against you will start working for you. The pain that once weakened you will now strengthen your purpose. The loss that once devastated you will now deepen your vision. The delay that once frustrated you will now prepare your elevation. God has already written the chapter of your comeback, and it is far more powerful than the chapter of your struggle. What is coming is greater than what was lost. What is ahead is greater than what is behind. God does not take you through a valley without preparing a mountain on the other side, and you are approaching that mountain now. Your spirit is rising, your hope is rising, your strength is rising, your courage is rising, your clarity is rising, your purpose is rising. You are rising because God is lifting you. When God prepares a comeback, He does not simply restore what was taken, He redefines who you are. The coming transformation is not merely a change of circumstances, it is a change of identity, a deep awakening of the spiritual authority God placed inside you long before the world ever knew your name. And this awakening is not gentle, it is powerful. It is the kind of awakening that makes you stand taller, think clearer, speak with conviction, walk with purpose, and breathe with renewed strength. This is the divine shift that happens when God decides it is time for your life to rise again. Many people misunderstand the nature of a comeback. They think it is about returning to a place, a position, or a version of themselves that once existed. But God is not bringing you backward. God is propelling you forward. Your comeback is not a return to the old. It is an elevation into the new. The old version of you needed approval. The new version moves with confidence. The old version worried about outcomes. The new version trusts God's timing. The old version depended on people. The new version stands anchored in God alone. This is not the restoration of yesterday. This is the transformation of tomorrow. You must understand something profound. God does not allow certain seasons to collapse because He is cruel, but because He is clearing the ground for the next chapter. Sometimes God must strip away what is familiar so He can reveal what is divine. Sometimes comfort must be disrupted so purpose can be activated. Sometimes what you relied on must be shaken so you learn to rely fully on God. And when God is your foundation, it does not matter how violent the storm becomes, you will rise again. Your comeback begins with revelation. God reveals what you could not see before. He reveals the truth about people you trusted but who are not aligned with your destiny. He reveals hidden strengths you didn't know you possessed. He reveals the depth of His protection by allowing you to walk through battles that should have broken you but didn't. He reveals that His guidance is not always loud, but always precise. When God prepares a comeback, He clears the vision of your heart. You stop seeing yourself through the lens of defeat and start seeing yourself through the lens of divine purpose. And when your sight is restored, your spirit is strengthened. Suddenly, you begin to understand that even the worst seasons were carrying divine purpose. You begin to realize that the things that felt like setbacks were actually God preserving you. You begin to recognize that the delays were not denials, but divine recalibrations. You begin to appreciate that the things you thought were unfair were actually God's way of protecting your future. This is the spiritual clarity that forms the foundation of a true comeback. But comeback also requires the courage to release what God has removed. Some of you have been carrying emotional weight that God never intended for you to keep. You have held onto guilt, regret, shame, failed relationships, false expectations, and painful memories. And as long as your hands are full of the past, they cannot receive the future. God is calling you to release every heavy thing that has drained your spirit. God is calling you to let go so He can place something greater in your life. The release is not a loss, it is preparation for the blessing that is coming. In this next season, God is not asking you to be the same person you were. God is calling you to rise as a version of yourself that is spiritually mature, mentally strong, emotionally grounded, and deeply anchored in divine truth. Your comeback is about becoming someone who walks with unwavering faith, someone who is guided not by fear, but by spiritual conviction. Someone who knows that every step is directed by the wisdom of God. This is the kind of person who cannot be shaken by opinions, cannot be slowed by doubt, and cannot be stopped by circumstances. You must also understand that your comeback is not only for you, it is for every life connected to you. God is raising you so you can become a living testimony of His power. Your story will strengthen someone else's faith. Your resilience will awaken hope in those who feel forgotten. Your transformation will show others that God still opens doors no one can close. God still lifts those who are overlooked. God still restores those who are broken. God still makes a way where there seems to be no way. Your comeback carries purpose because God is using your life as evidence. Evidence that He protects, evidence that He provides, evidence that He guides, evidence that He transforms, evidence that He never abandons those who trust Him. And when God too says you as evidence, He does not create a small transformation. He creates a transformation that cannot be ignored. People who saw you fall will witness your rise. People who doubted your potential will be humbled by your progress. People who rejected you will see the blessing they walked away from. God's work in your life will speak louder than any explanation you could ever give. But listen closely, a comeback requires alignment. You cannot step into the next chapter carrying the mindset of the previous one. You cannot move into divine purpose with limited expectations. You cannot walk into new blessings with old fears. You cannot claim restoration while clinging to the identity of defeat. God is calling you to elevate your thinking. God is calling you to believe for more than you ever imagined. God is calling you to think bigger, expect greater, pray deeper, and trust more boldly. Do not underestimate what God is about to do. The same God who created galaxies with the Word, the same God who holds the universe in balance, the same God who gives breath to every living thing is the God who is guiding your steps. If God can sustain creation, He can sustain you. If God can orchestrate the movement of stars, He can orchestrate the movement of your destiny. If God can bring order out of chaos in the world, He can bring order out of the chaos in your life. Nothing is too big for God, and nothing is too broken for Him to restore. You may not understand the timing, but you can trust the purpose. You may not understand the process, but you can trust the plan. God's timing is never early and never late. It is always exact. God's process is never cruel. It is always intentional. What you see as a delay is actually God aligning resources, people, opportunities, and circumstances precisely at the moment they will benefit you most. God is never rushed and never confused. Everything He does is orchestrated with divine intelligence and perfect wisdom. And while God is preparing your comeback externally, He is strengthening you internally. He is enlarging your capacity. He is refining your character. He is deepening your discernment. He is strengthening your endurance. He is training your spirit to remain calm in chaos and confident in uncertainty. God is not only preparing the blessing, He is preparing you for the blessing. Because the worst thing that can happen is to receive what you prayed for without being ready to steward it. God prepares you so you can sustain what He gives you. There is a reason your path has been difficult. There is a reason you faced resistance. There is a reason certain doors remain closed. There is a reason certain relationships ended. There is a reason you were forced into seasons of silence and separation. God has been removing the noise so you can hear Him more clearly. God has been removing the distractions so you can see the path more clearly. God has been removing the burden so you can rise more freely. This is divine preparation, not divine punishment. And now you are entering the season where everything begins to make sense. You will look back and realize that the pain was necessary, the loss was essential, the silence was purposeful, and the struggle was instrumental. You will look back and see that God was guiding you even when you felt confused. You will look back and recognize that God was protecting you even when you felt vulnerable. You will look back and understand that God was strengthening you even when you felt weak. And in that moment, you will know with absolute certainty God never left you. Your comeback is not just a shift in your circumstances, it is a shift in your identity, your focus, your spirit, your vision, and your destiny. God is not simply restoring what you lost. God is restoring the strength you forgot you had. God is restoring the peace that life tried to steal. God is restoring the confidence that trials tried to break. God is restoring the hope that disappointment tried to suffocate. God is restoring the fire that hardship tried to extinguish. You are stepping into a chapter where God's favor will surround you like a shield, where doors will open without your effort, where opportunities will find you, where peace will follow you, where clarity will guide you, where the weight you once carried will lift, where the path that once seemed impossible will suddenly become smooth. This is what happens when God declares a comeback over your life. Nothing can block it. Nothing can slow it. Nothing can interfere with it. What God has spoken will manifest, and no human opinion can interrupt His plan. There comes a moment in every destiny when God does not simply open a door, He pushes you through it. And for many listening right now, that moment is approaching faster than you realize. You have been standing in the hallway of transition, feeling the tension between what was and what will be, sensing the pull of the future while still wrestling with the residue of the past. But when God decides that your season must shift, no hesitation, no fear, no doubt, and no enemy can stop the movement of His command. God's decree over your life is stronger than any opposition formed against you. And your comeback is rooted not in human strength, but in divine authority. The changes God is preparing are not adjustments. They are transformations. They are not small improvements, but radical shifts. God is not polishing your old chapter. He is writing a new one with fresh ink. There is a spiritual momentum rising inside you, and it is not coming from your circumstances. It is coming from God Himself. This is why you feel restless in places that once felt comfortable. This is why certain relationships no longer fit your spirit. This is why certain environments feel too small for your growth. God is expanding you, stretching you, preparing you, and calling you into a version of yourself that aligns with the greatness He placed within you. And understand this truth: whenever God expands you internally, He must remove what restricts you externally. You cannot rise while clinging to what keeps you grounded. You cannot grow while holding on to what keeps you stagnant. You cannot elevate while remaining attached to people or patterns that drain your strength. So if God has allowed separation, silence, or distance, do not interpret it as rejection. Interpret it as preparation. God removes what is not aligned with your future long before He reveals what is aligned with your destiny. Your comeback requires environment. Sometimes God must take you out of a place that nourished your past but threatens your future. Sometimes God must isolate you to speak to you without interference. Sometimes God must place you in a space where you learn to depend solely on Him. These seasons are not punishments. They are refinements. And if you embrace them, you will emerge stronger, wiser, sharper, and spiritually unshakable. Many people misunderstand divine isolation. They think it is loneliness, but it is clarity. They think it is abandonment, but it is alignment. They think it is rejection, but it is protection. God isolates not to diminish you, but to strengthen you. When God isolates you, He is separating your identity from the expectations of others. He is removing the noise so you can hear the whisper of your destiny. He is clearing the fog so your spiritual vision becomes precise, and the clarity gained in isolation becomes the strength that fuels your comeback. There is a level of greatness God is calling you into that will require you to release the fear of being misunderstood. Not everyone will understand your rise. Not everyone will recognize your transformation. Not everyone will celebrate your comeback. And that is perfectly fine, because your destiny does not require universal approval. It requires divine approval. Your assignment is too sacred. Your purpose too significant. Your calling too deep to be dependent on the opinions of those who cannot see what God is doing within you. You are not rising for validation. You are rising because God has commanded your spirit to rise. You are rising because the time of being hidden is ending. You are rising because your spiritual preparation has reached maturity. You are rising because God has declared that the struggle you endured was not in vain. And no force in creation can stop the movement of a soul that God is elevating. But to sustain a comeback, you must cultivate the strength to endure blessings as much as you endured battles. Not every person can handle elevation. Not every heart can sustain growth. Not every mind can navigate abundance with humility. This is why God builds character in the dark before He reveals purpose in the light. The season you walked through was not just about surviving pain. It was about developing discipline, sharpening discernment, and cultivating wisdom. God was preparing you to carry blessings without being crushed by them. You must also understand that in your comeback season, God will place opportunities in front of you that require courage, not certainty. You will not always feel ready. You will not always feel qualified. You will not always feel equipped. But God does not choose the qualified. God qualifies those He chooses. And God has chosen you for a comeback that will defy logic, exceed expectations, and silence every doubt that ever whispered in your ear. This is why you must walk with boldness. Boldness does not mean an arrogance. Boldness means moving with confidence in the presence of God. It means stepping forward even when you don't have the full picture. It means trusting that if God brought you to this moment, God will guide you through it. It means believing that every step you take in faith activates a new level of divine alignment. When you walk boldly, you give God permission to show you what He has prepared. And what God has prepared for you is not ordinary. It is not small. It is not average. God is raising you into a life that carries influence, meaning, and purpose. You were not created to blend in. You were created to stand out. You were not designed to shrink. You were designed to expand. You were not shaped for mediocrity. You were shaped for greatness. And the greatness God placed inside you is awakening, stirring, and pushing you toward your divine comeback. There is a spiritual fire in you, and God is breathing on that fire again. This fire is not emotional. It is eternal. It is the fire that pushes you to rise when everything tries to hold you down. It is the fire that whispers, keep going, even when your strength feels depleted. It is the fire that refuses to let you settle for less than what God promised. This fire is the evidence that God's hand is on your life, guiding you, empowering you, and preparing you for a return that will astonish those who counted you out. Do not be surprised when God begins to accelerate things in your life. Acceleration often feels sudden to the human mind, but it is never sudden to God. God has been preparing this shift for a long time. God has been aligning pieces behind the scenes. God has been orchestrating connections you do not yet know about. God has been fighting battles you never saw. And when the timing is perfect, what has been slow for years will suddenly move with speed. What felt impossible will suddenly become achievable. What resisted you will suddenly open. Acceleration is not random. It is the signature of God's timing. As you rise, remember that your comeback is not meant to be quiet. It is meant to echo through every area of your life. It is meant to restore not just your circumstances, but your identity, your strength, your confidence, and your hope. A true comeback is not just a recovery, it is a revelation. It reveals who you are when everything else is stripped away. It reveals the depth of your faith. It reveals the resilience of your soul. It reveals the power of God within you. And most importantly, your comeback will reveal God's faithfulness. You have walked through seasons where you questioned if God was listening. You have endured moments where you felt forgotten. You have carried burdens that seemed too heavy to bear. But now God is about to show you that He was present all along. God is about to show you that none of your tears were wasted. God is about to show you that your faith, even in its smallest moments, was enough to activate His power. You are walking into a season where you will no longer have to force doors open. God will open them. You will no longer have to chase opportunities. They will come to you. You will no longer have to justify your worth. Your results will speak for you. You will no longer have to explain your journey. Your transformation will explain itself. Because when God restores, He restores completely. When God lifts, He lifts undeniably. When God blesses, He blesses abundantly. So prepare your heart, prepare your spirit, prepare your expectations, because your comeback is not something you will try to achieve. It is something God has already decreed. And what God decrees cannot be undone, cannot be reversed, cannot be interrupted, and cannot be stopped. Your comeback is unfolding, and it will be greater than anything you imagine. And now hear this truth with every fiber of your being. When God chooses to elevate you, no force of darkness, no whisper of evil, and no scheme formed in secrecy can stand against the path He has written for you. What rises against you is only exposing itself because God has allowed your eyes to see what was once hidden. What tries to disrupt your peace reveals its own weakness, for nothing can overpower the one who walks under God's protection. Stand firm in this understanding. When God reveals the intentions of those around you, it is not to break you, it is to strengthen you. It is to sharpen your discernment, to deepen your wisdom, and to prepare you for the greater heights He is leading you toward. Every act of malice, every silent attack, every subtle move made in darkness becomes powerless the moment God shines His light on it. Do not fear what you now know. Do not tremble at what has been exposed. Instead, rise with a renewed spirit, knowing that God has brought you clarity so you can walk forward with confidence, dignity, and unshakable courage. You are not alone. You are not unprotected. You are not vulnerable to the plans of evil. God goes before you, stands beside you, and covers you from behind. So step into your next season with boldness. Let nothing distract you. Let nothing deceive you. Let nothing pull you away from the purpose God has set in motion. When evil realizes that you see through it, it panics. When darkness recognizes that God is guiding you, it retreats. And when you stand rooted in faith, anchored in divine truth, you become untouchable. Move forward with this conviction. God has revealed all you need to know. Now walk forward with strength, with clarity, and with the fearless authority of someone who is guided, guarded, and elevated by the Most High. You are seen, you are protected, you are led, and nothing formed in darkness can stop what God is unfolding in your life. Do you feel the weight of waiting? Do you feel the moments of struggle pressing down on your spirit, whispering lies that your breakthrough will never come? Listen closely, because I am about to declare a truth over your life so bold, so powerful, and so unshakable that every doubt you have carried will tremble and fall. God is about to release millionaire blessings into your life. I am not speaking of empty promises. I am not speaking of fleeting luck or temporary gain. I am speaking of the divine intervention of the Creator of heaven and earth, who sees your faith, your perseverance, your hunger for purpose, and who is now moving with unstoppable force to transform your financial destiny. Understand this: the season you are in right now, whether it feels like struggle, stagnation, or disappointment, is not your permanent story. It is the preparation, the refining, the crucible that God has designed to shape your spirit, sharpen your vision, and strengthen your resolve. Every moment of patience, every act of obedience, every ounce of faith you have offered has been noticed. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been overlooked. The God who made the universe, who breathes life into every atom, who commands the winds and the waves, is now aligning circumstances, people, opportunities, and wisdom to release wealth that will astonish the world. You must hear me clearly. God's blessings are not limited by human imagination. What you think is impossible, what you think is too late, what you believe is beyond your reach, God is already orchestrating it. The millionaire blessings are not merely about money. They are about divine provision, favor, influence, and freedom. They are about unlocking doors that have been closed, igniting ideas that have been dormant, and calling forth a season of abundance that will empower you to impact generations. God does not release this kind of favor into the lives of the faint-hearted, the hesitant, or the timid. This is for the bold, the faithful, the relentless. This is for those who refuse to compromise their integrity for temporary gain and who are ready to carry the responsibility of wealth with humility, wisdom, and unwavering faith. Listen to me. God's millionaire blessings are not random. They are purposeful. They are strategically timed. They are meant to elevate you into a position where your influence, your testimony, and your generosity can change the world. But before you can receive, you must position yourself. You must align your heart, your mind, and your actions with the will of God. Stop chasing opportunities with fear. Stop trying to manipulate outcomes with human effort alone. Stop comparing your journey to others. God's timing is perfect, and His release is inevitable. If you will trust, if you will remain faithful, if you will continue to cultivate excellence in all that you do, the release of wealth is imminent. And when it comes, it will be overwhelming. Let me challenge you to think bigger than you ever have before. Stop settling for mediocrity. Stop allowing limitation to define you. God is calling you to a level of financial blessing that requires audacity, vision, and faith that exceeds the ordinary. Millionaire blessings are not just about accumulating assets. They are about multiplying your capacity to bless, to create, to innovate, and to serve. God is about to place in your hands the resources you need to not only secure your future, but to elevate those around you. Wealth released by God is never hoarded. It is always a tool for impact. Those who are prepared to steward it with wisdom will see doors open that were previously unimaginable. Do not be distracted by temporary setbacks, by criticism, by disbelief from the world around you. God's blessings do not respond to human opinion. They respond to divine purpose. The very forces of heaven are aligning to bring you ideas, partnerships, contracts, investments, and opportunities that will elevate you to levels you have prayed for in secret. The desires of your heart that no one else could fully understand. The millionaire blessings are already on their way. They are not a question, they are a guarantee. But you must recognize that God is looking for readiness, responsibility, and resilience. Can you handle what God is about to release? Can you operate with integrity, with discipline, and with wisdom? The wealth you are about to receive will demand character as much as it demands vision. Now, hear me clearly. Do not underestimate the power of consistency. Your daily habits, your daily prayers, your daily decisions, these are the soil into which God will plant seeds of abundance. A millionaire life is not a product of sudden luck. It is the culmination of faith-driven effort aligned with divine guidance. Every moment of diligence, every act of service, every decision to honor God in your work is a deposit into your future fortune. God honors preparation. He multiplies effort that is offered in faith, and He is about to multiply your faith in ways that will astonish even you. You will witness doors opening, resources flowing, and opportunities multiplying, all because you remained faithful when no one was watching. You must also understand the spiritual nature of wealth. This is not about greed. This is not about selfish gain. God's millionaire blessings are always designed to elevate the spirit, to expand influence, and to create a legacy. Wealth without purpose is fleeting, but wealth that is ordained by God carries eternal significance. The money, the resources, the opportunities, these are instruments in God's hands. They are tools to demonstrate His favor, to testify of His provision, and to bring light into a world desperate for hope. God is about to entrust you with more than you could ask for, more than you could imagine, because He sees in you the heart of a steward, the spirit of a leader, and the courage of one who will not be shaken by challenges or detractors. But understand this, the release of millionaire blessings is also a call to spiritual warfare. There are forces, there are doubts, there are voices that will attempt to discourage you, to steal your vision, to delay your breakthrough. Do not entertain them. Do not succumb to fear or anxiety. Stand firm in the knowledge that God is your provider, your protector, and your guide. Every obstacle is temporary, every opposition is limited, and every delay is only setting the stage for a greater demonstration of God's power. When the blessing arrives, it will not come quietly. It will come in a way that leaves no doubt that God's hand alone has orchestrated it. I want you to hear this clearly. God's millionaire blessings are a matter of spiritual alignment. They are not random windfalls or chance occurrences. They are the result of living a life that is pleasing to God, a life that honors Him in your thoughts, your actions, and your heart. The wealth that God releases is a reflection of your faithfulness, your integrity, and your vision. It is for those who work diligently, pray consistently, and trust unwaveringly. If you are ready to receive, you must first position yourself. Position your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Stop being distracted by envy. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop chasing fleeting trends that have no eternal value. God is about to release abundance to those who recognize the sacredness of their journey, who understand that patience is power and that perseverance is the key to unlocking His favor. Do not be afraid of the magnitude of what God is about to do. The millionaire blessings may come in ways that surpass your imagination. Opportunities will arise from directions you never expected. Connections will appear as if by divine orchestration. Investments, partnerships, and streams of income that you once thought impossible will manifest in your hands. But God is looking for a heart that is ready to steward it, a mind that is disciplined enough to make wise decisions, and a spirit that remains humble amidst sudden favor. Wealth without wisdom can be a curse, but wealth with God's guidance is a tool for transformation, a weapon against despair, and a source of empowerment for generations to come. I want you to understand this. God's blessings do not come to the faint-hearted. They do not come to those who doubt, procrastinate, or fear change. Millionaire blessings require courage. They require audacity. They require faith that rises above every obstacle, above every delay, and above every voice that says it's too late. Your breakthrough is not waiting for the world to validate it. It is waiting for your faith to awaken it. It is waiting for you to rise and declare boldly, I am ready, I am prepared, I am aligned with God's will. When you speak with that kind of conviction, you are no longer asking, you are commanding heaven to move on your behalf. You must also recognize that God's abundance is never stagnant. It is not merely a one-time event. It is a flow, a river of provision that grows as your faith grows, as your vision expands, and as your influence multiplies. When God blesses a life with wealth, He does not bless it to sit idle. He blesses it to act, to create, to innovate, and to impact. Every dollar, every resource, every opportunity is a seed of transformation. When God releases millionaire blessings, He is not only elevating you, He is raising up the people around you. He is creating a ripple effect that touches families, communities, and nations. The favor you are about to experience is not just for comfort, it is for legacy. Do not let fear steal your breakthrough. Fear is the thief of vision, the enemy of faith, and the silent assassin of dreams. When God releases His blessings, there will always be resistance, sometimes subtle, sometimes blatant. There will be moments when it seems as though the tide is against you, when every effort appears fruitless. But remember this, God's timing is perfect. What seems delayed is only preparation. What seems blocked is only positioning. What seems impossible is only the stage upon which God would demonstrate His power. Stand firm, declare boldly, move forward with unwavering faith. The millionaire blessings are coming, and they will arrive in such a way that no one will question that God's hand alone has orchestrated it. I challenge you to elevate your thinking. Stop imagining small, limited outcomes. God's abundance is infinite. God's favor is boundless. Your mind must stretch to accommodate the vision of what God is about to do. Speak over your life with authority. Declare over your finances, your opportunities, and your future that God's provision cannot be contained. Write it down, speak it aloud, and meditate on it daily. Align every action with this truth. God is your source, and His blessings are inevitable. Do not settle for less than what God has promised. Do not allow temporary limitations to define your potential. The God who holds the universe is about to hold your financial destiny. and He will do it with power, precision, and glory. God also calls you to generosity in this season. The millionaire blessings are never meant for selfish accumulation. They are meant to expand, to create impact, and to glorify the giver of all good things. When you receive wealth, God is testing your heart. Will you hoard it in fear, or will you sow it into lives, ministries, and causes that honor Him? The true measure of a blessing is not in what you keep, but in what you release. God's wealth multiplies when it is shared, when it is invested in purpose, and when it is aligned with divine destiny. Prepare your heart now to be a conduit of His favor. Your generosity will open doors to even greater abundance, for God blesses those who bless others. Do not be distracted by what you cannot see. Do not be shaken by what has not yet manifested. God's millionaire blessings are real and they are imminent. You must move with faith, act with wisdom, and position yourself with discipline. The breakthrough is closer than you think. Every prayer you have prayed, every effort you have made, every moment you have endured has been leading to this season. God's timing is impeccable. His provision is unstoppable. His blessing is undeniable. Prepare your mind, prepare your heart, and prepare your spirit, because the release of abundance is about to come, and it will transform your life forever. Do you understand what it means when I say God's millionaire blessings are about to invade your life? I am not talking about ordinary success. I am talking about a divine elevation, a supernatural increase that will leave no doubt about the hand of God in every aspect of your prosperity. This is the moment where heaven steps into your reality and reshapes your circumstances, your opportunities, and your resources. God is about to open doors that have been sealed for years. God is about to place people, ideas, and innovations in your path that will catapult you beyond limitations. But here is the truth you must embrace. God does not bless by chance. He blesses by design. Every blessing has a purpose, every favor has an assignment, and every opportunity is a test of your faith, character, and readiness. Do not be deceived by appearances. The world may tell you that wealth is controlled by luck, by education, by connections, or by talent. But I am telling you now, in no uncertain terms, that God is the ultimate source of all provision. God's favor does not depend on human circumstances. It depends on your alignment with His will, your obedience to His principles, and your faith to believe beyond the visible. The millionaire blessings you are about to receive are not measured by what you have done, but by how fully you have surrendered to the one who holds all power. God sees your heart. God knows your intention. God knows your readiness to receive. And when the timing is perfect, He will release a flow of abundance so powerful that it will silence every critic, every doubter, and every fear that has tried to hinder you. You must also understand that God's blessings are strategic. They are not simply financial gains to make you comfortable. They are instruments of destiny. The wealth that God is about to release is meant to elevate your life, multiply your influence, and create impact far beyond your imagination. You will not only experience comfort, but empowerment. You will not only gain resources, but authority to create change, to inspire, to uplift, and to leave a legacy that endures. This is the blessing of God's precision. He does not bless recklessly. He blesses intentionally. And this is why your faith, your preparation, and your perseverance are critical. Every prayer, every act of diligence, every moment you have remained steadfast is building the foundation for the release of these millionaire blessings. Do you hear me when I say this? God is not limited by time, circumstance, or human expectation. What looks impossible to man is easy for God. What looks delayed is already in motion in heaven. Every moment you have spent trusting, hoping, and believing is a deposit in the bank of divine favor. And God is about to multiply it exponentially. The resources, opportunities, and connections that will come to you are not just to satisfy personal needs, they are designed to demonstrate God's glory through your life. This is why the millionaire blessings are always accompanied by responsibility. God does not entrust abundance to carelessness or greed. He entrusts it to those who are ready to steward it wisely, with integrity, and with vision. And I am here to tell you, if you have been faithful, if you have remained steadfast, if you have honored God in every decision, then this is your season. I want you to consider the power of alignment. Everything in your life must be aligned with God's purpose if you are to fully receive His blessing. Your actions, your mindset, your prayers, your vision, and even the words you speak must resonate with faith and obedience. God's millionaire blessings are blocked only by misalignment, by doubt, by fear, and by distraction. Every negative thought, every fear-based decision, and every compromise delays the release of your blessing. But when you commit yourself fully, when you walk in alignment with God's principles, when your heart is purified and your intentions are righteous, the flow of abundance is unstoppable. The doors will open, the opportunities will arrive, and the resources will multiply, all in perfect timing. Let me tell you something else. God's millionaire blessings are a spiritual battle. There will be forces, both seen and unseen, trying to keep you in limitation. There will be voices of doubt, circumstances that seem impossible, and people who will attempt to discourage you. But you must stand firm. You must rise above fear. You must operate with faith that defies logic, with patience that surpasses human understanding, and with a vision that refuses to be diminished by temporary challenges. God's favor is not subject to human weakness. It is anchored in His power, His will, and His infinite wisdom. And when you persist, when you endure, when you refuse to surrender to doubt, the millionaire blessings will arrive with a force so powerful that no one will question God's authority in your life. I want you to embrace the mindset of abundance before it even manifests. Speak life over your finances, your business, your career, and your investments. Declare your readiness to receive with faith, clarity, and conviction. Visualize the wealth, the opportunities, and the influence flowing into your life. Align every thought with the truth that God is your source and that His provision is infinite. Do not wait for evidence to believe. Believe to see the evidence. This is the principle of divine favor. This is the law of faith-driven prosperity. When you declare, when you position yourself, and when you act with obedience, God responds with multiplication beyond measure. God's blessings are also about transformation. When He releases abundance, He does not merely change your bank account. He transforms your spirit, your influence, and your purpose. The millionaire blessings you are about to receive are meant to elevate your thinking, to expand your impact, and to refine your character. You will be entrusted with resources that carry responsibility, influence, and the power to change lives. And those who are prepared to steward this blessing will see it multiplied in ways they never imagined. Wealth that is blessed by God creates opportunity for generations. Wealth that is aligned with God's purpose leaves a legacy. Wealth that is stewarded with wisdom glorifies the Creator and demonstrates His power. And now I challenge you to rise in faith. Refuse to live in limitation. Refuse to settle for mediocrity. Refuse to allow doubt, fear, or delay to define your destiny. The millionaire blessings are coming. They are already moving towards you. Opportunities are being positioned, ideas are being inspired, connections are being orchestrated, all by the hand of God. What is required is your readiness, your obedience, your faith, and your unwavering commitment to honor God in every step. When you align yourself with His will, there is no force on earth or in heaven that can stop the flow of abundance He is releasing. Now listen closely. The season you are entering is not ordinary. The millionaire blessings God is about to release are extraordinary, and they are designed to shift the trajectory of your life forever. This is not a moment to hesitate, to question, or to be cautious. This is a moment to rise with authority, with conviction, and with unwavering faith. Every moment you have spent in prayer, every challenge you have endured, every sacrifice you have made has been preparing you for this release. God does not waste effort, and He does not delay without purpose. Every struggle, every season of waiting has been orchestrating your positioning for divine wealth, favor, and influence. Now the time has come. God is about to show up in ways so powerful that your heart will overflow with gratitude, your spirit will ignite with confidence, and your life will testify to the greatness of God's provision. You must understand that God's millionaire blessings are not just about financial increase, they are about elevation in every dimension of your life. God's abundance touches your mind, your spirit, your creativity, and your ability to lead. Wealth that is released by God elevates your capacity to make decisions with clarity, to act with wisdom, and to influence with integrity. It is not merely about receiving money. It is about becoming the person capable of stewarding what God has entrusted to you. God does not release blessings into hearts that are unprepared, minds that are stagnant, or spirits that are divided. This is a time to align your entire being with His purpose, to cultivate discipline in your thoughts, diligence in your actions, and devotion in your spirit. Only then can you fully grasp the magnitude of the blessing that is coming. Hear this with certainty. God is about to multiply your opportunities exponentially. Where you see obstacles, He sees pathways. Where you see scarcity, He sees abundance. Where you see limitation, He sees infinite possibilities. The millionaire blessings are already on their way. They are not a question, they are a promise. And those who are ready to receive will see doors open that no human hand could unlock. Partnerships will form, ideas will ignite, investments will prosper, and resources will flow into your life from multiple directions. This is not luck, this is not coincidence. This is God moving with precision and purpose to position you for extraordinary provision. Your faith must rise to meet the magnitude of what God is about to do. Anything less than full trust will be too small to contain the blessing. Do not be deceived into thinking that waiting is wasted time. Patience is the refinement of faith. Waiting is preparation for manifestation. God's timing is perfect and it cannot be rushed, aided by human effort or limited by human understanding. Every moment you endure faithfully, every decision you make with integrity, every step you take in obedience is laying the foundation for the release of millionaire blessings. Do not measure your progress by what you see. Measure it by what God has promised. Even when circumstances appear bleak, even when the world says impossible, God is already at work behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail, opening every door, and aligning every opportunity for your elevation. This is the law of divine provision. What God has prepared, no one can prevent. What He has ordained, no one can delay. Let me emphasize this truth. God's millionaire blessings demand spiritual readiness. This is a time to cultivate discernment, to sharpen your vision, and to purify your motives. Wealth released by God is powerful. It can multiply good or expose weakness. God entrusts His favor to those who demonstrate wisdom, integrity, and a heart committed to purpose. Do not pursue wealth for comfort alone. Do not chase success for validation. Align yourself with God's will, and He will entrust you with resources that will not only transform your life, but transform the lives of those around you. The millionaire blessings are a tool for influence, impact, and legacy. Steward them well, and they will multiply beyond measure. Mismanage them, and the opportunity diminishes. God honors preparation and punishes negligence. Now, understand the role of expectation. Faith that is active expects the impossible. It does not doubt, it does not fear, it does not shrink in the face of challenge. The millionaire blessings require that you anticipate abundance, that you declare provision, and that you act as though the blessing is already manifesting. Speak over your finances, over your business, over your opportunities, and over your destiny. Visualize the increase, feel the excitement of the breakthrough, and align every action with the certainty that God's hand is moving on your behalf. Do not wait for evidence to believe. Believe so that evidence can appear. This is the principle of divine acceleration. Expectation aligned with faith calls the blessing from heaven and positions it into your reality. I want to address the naysayers, the critics, and the voices of doubt that have tried to hinder you. Their words are powerless against the promise of God. Their disbelief cannot cancel what heaven has ordained. Every time someone says, "You cannot," "It is impossible," or "You are too late," you must rise in faith and declare, "God is my source. God is my provider. God is releasing abundance in my life that no one can stop." Opposition is not a barrier. It is a sign that something powerful is on the horizon. When God prepares to release blessings of this magnitude, resistance is inevitable. But resistance is temporary, while God's favor is eternal. Stand firm, hold fast, do not compromise. The millionaire blessings are your divine inheritance, and they are unstoppable when you walk in alignment with God. God's provision is also about multiplication. He does not bless in scarcity, He blesses in overflow. When He releases millionaire blessings, the flow will be abundant, diverse, and continuous. It will not come in small, predictable increments. It will come in ways that expand your capacity to give, to invest, to create, and to leave a lasting impact. You are not simply being prepared for financial comfort. You are being prepared for financial influence. Wealth released by God carries power, responsibility, and spiritual significance. It is a tool for transformation, a key to legacy, and a demonstration of His glory. This is why God's blessings are never random. They are intentional, strategic, and eternal in purpose. I want you to feel this in your spirit. God's millionaire blessings are not for the faint-hearted, the indecisive, or the complacent. They are for those who dare to rise above mediocrity, who refuse to allow circumstance to define destiny, and who understand that divine favor is activated by faith and obedience. Every limitation you have faced has been a stepping stone. Every delay has been a preparation. And every challenge has been a lesson in readiness. God is not releasing this blessing to simply enrich you. He is releasing it to elevate you, to expand your influence, and to position you as a beacon of His provision in a world desperate for hope. Do not shrink back. Do not hesitate. Do not allow fear to cloud your vision. This is your appointed time. God is moving, and nothing can stop what He has ordained. Understand this clearly. God's millionaire blessings are rooted in purpose, not entitlement. The wealth that is about to flow into your life is not to satisfy vanity or pride. It is to empower you to create impact, to lift others, and to demonstrate the power of God's provision. True wealth is never stagnant. It multiplies when aligned with divine intention. God does not bless carelessly. He blesses strategically, with precision, and with eternal significance. Every resource, every opportunity, every idea that is placed in your hands carries the potential to change not only your life, but the lives of those around you. This is why preparation, wisdom, and spiritual readiness are essential. The blessing is immense, but so is the responsibility. I want to speak about the power of vision. God is about to release opportunities that will seem larger than life. You will face moments when the size of the task or the magnitude of the opportunity challenges your confidence. But this is precisely when faith must rise above fear. The millionaire blessings are a test of visio, as much as they are a gift of provision. God is calling you to think bigger than you ever have, to see beyond current limitations, and to act with authority. Your imagination must expand to accommodate the abundance He is sending. Speak over your life with clarity. Declare your readiness with boldness. Visualize the streams of provision flowing from directions you have not even considered. This is the language of faith that positions heaven to move on your behalf. Do not underestimate the spiritual dynamics of wealth. God's provision is more than money. It is influence, it is authority, it is power to create change. The millionaire blessings are designed to elevate your ability to lead, to inspire, and to serve. Wealth without purpose is empty, but wealth aligned with God's vision multiplies exponentially. Every blessing carries with it an opportunity to leave a lasting legacy, to impact generations, and to demonstrate the power of God's hand in human affairs. This is why God tests your heart, your character, and your faith. Are you ready to steward His blessing with integrity? Are you prepared to lead without arrogance? Are you committed to use this abundance for good, to glorify the one who provided it, and to transform lives in the process? Now, let me challenge you to embrace expectation over fear. Fear has no place in the life of one who is receiving God's favor. Fear diminishes vision. Fear weakens faith. Fear delays manifestation. When God prepares to release millionaire blessings, fear is not invited to the table. You must operate in absolute confidence that God is your source, your provider, and your guide. Speak with authority over your finances, your opportunities, your career, and your future. Declare the release of resources, the alignment of partnerships, and the multiplication of income. Expect it, believe it. Position yourself as though the blessing is already flowing, because in the realm of faith, expectation is the key that unlocks divine provision. You must also understand the role of obedience. God blesses those who are willing to walk in His ways, who honor His principles, and who act with integrity. Obedience is not a limitation. It is the pathway to acceleration. Every decision, every act of diligence, every moment you choose faith over fear is a declaration that you are ready for God's millionaire blessings. Disobedience, compromise, and shortcuts delay the release of favor. God's blessings are strategic, and they demand alignment with His will. Prepare your life, your heart, and your mind to receive. And the magnitude of provision that God has designed will flow without obstruction. God's favor also requires resilience. The journey toward wealth, even when divinely ordained, is not without challenges. Opposition will arise, Delays will test your patience. Skepticism from others will attempt to shake your confidence. But remember this, no obstacle, no critic, no circumstance can nullify the promise of God. Every trial is temporary, and every delay is a stage for God to display His power. The millionaire blessings will arrive in perfect timing, with precision, and in a way that leaves no doubt that the provision is divine. Your task is to remain steadfast, to persevere, and to refuse to compromise under pressure. Resilience is the mark of one who is ready for extraordinary abundance. I urge you to cultivate generosity as you prepare for this blessing. Wealth is never meant to be hoarded. It is meant to be a conduit for impact. When God releases abundance into your life, He is testing your heart. Will you use it wisely? Will you lift others? Will you invest in purpose? Those who approach wealth with humility and a spirit of generosity will see it multiplied. Those who cling selfishly will find limitation. The millionaire blessings are as much about character as they are about provision. They are designed to reveal and refine the heart. Align yourself with this truth, and God's favor will not only enrich you, it will transform you and those around you.